Hey everybody, Jennifer Dixon here with
Merritt Maloof Plumb with the Energy Center and Thrive Yoga and Wellness here to celebrate our last 90-day challenge.
That's right. We've only got 3 more weeks, right? This one and then 2 more, right?
Yes.
Holy moly.
What is everybody going to do on Wednesday when this is over?
I don't know. We'll have to come up with a plan.
We'll have to think of something we can talk about every week. Keep this growth and learning.
I've had a lot of fun. I hope
have
everybody
too.
listening and watching has had a lot of fun.
We've learned about all the 7 chakras, and we started 2 weeks ago on the elements. We talked about earth, and last week we talked about water.
Yep, with our friend Jennifer Ettinger.
Yes, that was awesome. She's so much fun.
And she is super sweet from
And
my
knowledgeable.
eye. Yeah, like
Yes.
a font of knowledge.
Yes, we explored the Ayurvedic approach to the elements.
Correct.
And we're bringing that into it too, but we're also talking about it from an energy and earth medicine standpoint and from a yoga standpoint, how you can balance and align your elements and chakras. And the 5 elements are really all connected. You want them all to be in balance, but knowing how to balance each one specifically, I think, is also very helpful.
Yes, I agree. So before we go in, let's talk about the 5 elements.
Mm-hmm.
We covered earth 2 weeks ago, water.
Last week.
Today we're going to cover fire.
Fire.
Then we've got air and space or ether.
Right.
With Chinese medicine including wood and metal instead of, what was it?
Of
Earth?
Well, instead of
Earth and space, right?
earth and space. No, earth we are covering.
Earth and air.
Air.
Air. We'll get it right. So the thing that we were just talking about before we hit record on the phone, the camera, was that it's interesting how it's all interrelated. Whether or not it's the Ayurvedic or the earth medicine, the Lakota medicine, or even the yoga and Chinese medicine, all of them come back to these similar principles and similar characteristics in how they react or respond or make us up individually.
Right. Any of the ancient text, ancient healing is all about keeping your elements in alignment, which modern Western medicine doesn't recognize. But we're seeing more integrative medicine now, which is exciting for me.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Because I've always been integrative. I believe in both. And I think if you can do things through Ayurvedics, yoga, energy medicine to keep your elements in balance and understand how they harmonize not only the earth but you, healing and wellness is very likely going to be the forefront of your life.
I agree.
And that's the main thing about the last 90-day challenge is we're trying to start in the year strong.
That's right. So that then 2020, the new decade,
right,
we start out with a bang. We start out better than we started 2019.
Right. We're putting the fire.
We're stoking it.
Yeah, we're stoking the fire. and the fire element is connected to the heart.
Correct.
And the small intestine. So if you think about the heart and fire being associated with that, it's associated with your digestion and the things that you eat. It's your inspiration, your joy, your passion, your creativity. So the more we have that spark of life, then the more we're drawn to these natural practices that help us, earthing, yoga, Ayurvedics, whole life foods.
And meditations.
And meditation, yes.
To segue into Merritt's class tonight at 7:45, we will be
Please
meditating
join me
on the fire element just a bit. And so something, because you talked about the fire element being part of your heart and the small intestines. With Ayurveda, I learned that the action body part is the feet.
Oh, interesting.
Because the feet, when you happen upon fire, your feet pick your direction and how fast you move to or from it. And so I thought that those 3 things combined are kind of an interesting perspective, because the heart and how you see things and feel things and how open it is, that can build your fire or take it away. And then, of course, you've got digestion, small intestine, with digestion and how smoothly things are going in that direction. And then you've got the feet. All of those help to manage the energy that is fire. And something else that I thought was really cool is, from the beginning of time, what was energy? Fire. Like, fire kept us warm, fire fed us, fire kept us safe. And what is fire now, thousands of years later? Like, fire is how we get our electricity. Fire is how we have our heat, whether we have a fireplace or we just use electric. It's all, the energy is generated by that fire. It's all.
I was thinking about fire a lot today because I love fire. I love the element. I love all of the elements, but fire is one of my favorites. And I usually, when I'm doing medicine, I have a fire going.
We can smell it. We
Very,
have a few doors down.
Yeah.
Oh, Marin's working.
Oh, she got both fires going today. The fire for me energetically, when I'm slow or sluggish, it helps me get going just to start a fire.
Oh,
So I'm very
cool.
connected to it that way. But I was thinking about how our fire element is in balance in terms of a campfire, because if you think about when you're at a party or a gathering and you have a nice fire, everyone's drawn to the warmth. Everyone is vibrant and excited and, also in a relaxed sense around the fire. But if it's too big, like if our fire's too much, then we may have impulsivity, we may be angry, our emotions may not be, we may be too forceful with our emotions. And
if you're at a party and the fire gets too big,
you run away. You use your feet, to run away.
That's
so
right.
they're not drawn to the fire. So this is very representative of how is our fire within us. Is it too much? Is it too little? Is it because when the fire goes out, it turns to ash and it's cold and there may be a few sparks, but it's not something you're drawn to. It's lifeless. And that represents that creative spark being out.
And interesting that you say that. When your fire is strong internally, your skin is glowing.
Yeah.
And you might sweat a little bit, like in a yoga class.
In a healthy way.
Yeah, in a nice, and it's like you might look a hot mess after a yoga class or a hot yoga class, but your skin, it just looks so vibrant to a
How
point.
does my skin look?
Your skin looks beautiful.
Good. So my fire's...
Yeah, your fire stoked. but on the flip side, it's just like that dying fire when it's like gray and it doesn't draw you. When your fire is dying internally, you can start to look ashen and gray almost and cold even. And so I think it's all neat how it's both reflective of us personally in our emotions as well as our physical body, and then you can see the manifestation in a physical sense too with the fire.
Well, and I was thinking about what Jennifer said last week too about how we need to exercise more in the winter because in the summer it is fire, is the season is summer. But we need to move more and do more vigorous yoga in the winter to keep our fires stoked.
Oh.
And then I can't remember exactly how she put it, but she was saying that in the summertime we need more of the gentle,
the chill out
poses, or we were using exercise as a whole, but I'm connecting it to yoga because we're a yoga practice. So the yins, the restoratives in the summer, and the more vigorous in the winter.
And that for me, and we both were kind of blown away by that last week, because I have a really, really, really hard time doing it when it's cold.
I do too. I'm a bear.
I have a tendency to do that too, because I'm cold, and when it's cold I hurt, and I don't want to get out of bed because I know it's going to be cold. But then there's things that we can do that just means it's like a physical manifestation of how our fire is needing to be stoked. And so, like for me yesterday, I was miserable. I couldn't get warm because it was kind of damp and gray and cold. And so we made bone broth from the holiday leftovers.
Very smart.
So I was down in some bone broth, and slowly, with layers on, I slowly started moving and things started feeling better. But in the summer, it's easy. You just jump up and you're warm, you're ready to go. But like Jennifer said, it's real easy to overdo it and overstoke the fire and get burned out. Where here we might have to work a little harder. But once you do, it feels great. And I was super strong yesterday.
So this would be the perfect time, the winter semester of teacher training.
Oh, good segue. It would be.
For everyone to do their yoga teacher training to keep their fire going through the winter.
To get it stoked up and...
Yeah, so that in the summer we can just
cruise on into it.
Yes.
Yeah, we have our next semester of teacher training starting on January 11th, and if you sign up before December 15th, you get a 10% early bird discount even with payment plans. So definitely be sure to check it out, thriveyogaandwellness.com/yoga teacher training. And this year, which will be different than other years, we will offer not just a 200-hour, we'll offer 300-hour component to it. So for folks that already have their 200-hour training, they can come in and join some new trainings. And Merritt will be teaching part of that, which we will deal with meditations and
breath work, and which breath is a part of all of yoga, but
and living that prana, that
right.
inward life.
We'll deepen that study.
And speaking of breath, there was a breath work that helped to build your fire.
Yeah, the bellow breath.
The bellows breath. And it's a fun one. Like if you've done Bikram yoga, at the end of yoga, I think they call it Kapalabhati, skull shining breath. You're basically up on your knees and sitting up straight, and it's just your belly. And you don't even think about the inhale, but you just belly button to spine, push out the exhale. It's this really forceful
and you
exhale.
do it like 7 to 10 times?
Oh man, in Bikram you do it for, oh my God, isn't it like 100 times?
120.
Yeah.
But there's also one that you can do that's 7 to 10 breaths and then 4 slow breaths in meditation.
Yeah. And it all helps to build the fire.
The fire.
And trust me, if you do it, your belly will be hurting. It hurts because you're forcing that air out, and it's kind of like a core exercise.
But it warms you.
It does.
It works on that triple warmer. It warms you, and it gets your heart going, and it gives you a lot of energy if you need energy in the middle of the day.
There are stories that talk about monks that go up into the Himalayan mountains in just a little, the little silk, I don't remember what it's called, and they can be dripping with sweat from their fire building breath work, which I think is really cool, and I need to work on that personally as I'm freezing this time of year. But another really cool story, I love to read about the mythology behind, especially the yoga practice. There is a story in the Mahabharata where the 5 brothers there's 5 brothers. Arjuna is the main guy that's good archer. It's actually Yudhisthira who's the main guy. He's the main king, but they're out in banishment and they run across the god of fire, Agni.
Okay.
And Agni doesn't feel so good. He's got bad indigestion, basically.
Which is connected to the fire element?
That's right. That's why I thought it was interesting. And Arjuna and his brothers had to help Agni out because Agni needed to eat up a big forest. The cure for his indigestion was a big, huge fire, in essence. And the storyline is they were trying to purify the earth because the people that lived within the earth, they were bad guys, basically demons. And so Arjuna helped Agni consume the fire, create this huge fire, and he stopped all these other deities from raining on it to stop the fire until the earth was purified. That one little forest was eaten up by fire. And I thought that was interesting because he was indigestion. He wasn't feeling good. He needed to stoke the fire, so he created the fire because he was the fire god. And the heroes of the story had to keep the rain from coming until the fire had come in and completely purified
everything. And you notice that with the earth too, when there's a big forest fire, the next year it's beautiful. Mm-hmm. It purifies the earth and replenishes the earth.
Same thing with our precious metals, right? Mm-hmm. What purifies gold and silver? They use hot fire. Yeah. And it gets rid but if you've watched it, and I think it's really cool, you can watch people working with gold and the impurities, they literally bubble up, and that's one of those things. If we go into a yoga class, for instance, I was reading something on Reddit yesterday, and some guy was new to yoga, and he was talking about how fit he was. He was a runner and a climber and all this, but he gets into a hot yoga class and he's like panting, he's sweating everywhere, like he looks like he's about to die, and he looks over and there's somebody that looks like they're barely even breathing, like breathing hard, And I thought that was a really good segue into the power of the purification of a yoga practice, that personal Agni it's not manifestation, but management.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I first started power yoga, especially those heated classes, I was just like that guy. I would bring 2 and 3 things of sweat towels to catch my sweat. I would have to drink so much water because I was sweating everywhere. I was not the beautiful, fiery person that comes out of a yoga. I was looking like it was rough.
I'm sure I will too.
But now I can do a heated power class, and I sweat. I mean, because of course it's
right, but it's a healthy sweat.
But yeah, it's nothing like it used to be. But that took time,
right?
And that took all of the other crap
learning
bubbling
to
out.
Breathe.
Yep.
And releasing the toxins.
Yep. But it's managing that Agni. Yep.
Right.
Yeah, burning it when it needs to, and then calming it down with different types of breath. And so I thought that was kind of all goes in with stories.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
Food for took us up.
Yes,
food for the fire.
Bitters. Anything bitter. We're drinking ginger tea today.
Super tasty.
Which is great for the fire element. Also for digestion. Warm drinks are good. Really cold drinks actually aren't good for your digestive fires because they
kill the fire.
Mm-hmm.
That's why in Ayurveda they actually tell you not to drink cold beverages. You're supposed to drink room temperature,
right,
or lukewarm. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So
I love a hot tea, especially this time of year.
Right, but it's not super hot.
No, it's just warm. It's nice.
And so, great things that are bitter: coffee, dark chocolates,
dark
kale,
green leafies.
dark green leafies. There are so many more that I'm spacing out on now, but herbs like turmeric and
the hot spicy peppers.
The peppers. Yes.
Anything. If you think about if you go to a Mexican restaurant, what makes you hot? The super spicy food, right? Like we've all had a spicy salsa or spicy topping, and then you're like, but that's another physical manifestation of the fire stoking. Yep.
Right. And the other thing I wanted to make sure that I mentioned was how fire is connected to the heart.
Oh yeah.
The heart fire, the organ. It's also very connected to the tongue in Chinese medicine and energy medicine. But for the heart, when you're having heart problems or you see someone who is overexerting their heart and their heart's not healthy, you'll notice that they sweat even when they're not exercising. So that's a sign of an imbalanced fire element.
Interesting.
And it does affect your heart. That's why it's so important that all of our elements are balanced and working properly through exercise, meditation, yoga, and through lifestyle, eating, meditating, because that keeps us healthy. That keeps our heart healthy. And the heart really is the central of everything. It pumps the blood through the veins,
which is our life.
And
yes. Interesting. And then yoga poses.
Yoga poses, shoulder stretches, heart opening yoga practices, more vigorous.
Heat building.
Oh no, actually it was because summer is so it would be the slower ones with heart openers and the shoulder stretches, anything that has to do with the upper back and the neck to support this area.
Opening it up, which is where I struggle, is opening up across the chest personally. And yeah, I know, right? I hear my grandmother saying, "Sit up straight." Thanks, Granny. Yeah. So the thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit more was how fire, when out of balance, emotionally and interacting with humans, you touched on it. You can be overbearing. Mm-hmm. If it's too strong, you can kind of come in and be domineering. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side, if it's not strong enough, you end up being like sheepish, right? And like easily.
Oh, I don't know. No.
Yeah. But there's things that you can do to build it up, because we want to tap into that creativity, that
fierce energy that women have. That's a very fiery
That's
energy.
True.
And being fierce and fiery doesn't mean that you're aggressive. It means that you're assertive and you're interactive and you're inspiring and you're real. You're real.
Something that I read that I loved was it's easy for you to make a decision and go with it. Like when you're balanced,
your fire energy.
When your fire element is balanced, it's like, this is what we're doing and this is how we're going to do it. And I was like, yes, I love the fire element.
Right.
I can't stand when I can't make a decision. Like, it bothers me. Like I told you, I was trying to decide about the computer, and I boogered about it all weekend, and I couldn't. And that's so unlike me, because I like to make a decision and go.
Right.
And I couldn't do that.
Right.
So.
And it's one of the great ways that yoga helps, because when our chakras are aligned, then we have that clarity through our third eye, and then we have that ability to make the decisions. But it's fed with the fire.
Yep. And it all comes into balance with a regular practice.
Right.
And we're not talking like once in a blue moon practice. Like, it's coming back to your practice, whether it's in a truly physical form, more like what I do, or more of a meditative form, or even if it's breath work, or even chanting is a different type of practice.
Chanting came up for me in my research.
Yeah, chanting
There's
is awesome.
chanting with all the elements and all the chakras. Chanting is just we'll do one on chanting.
We
after
should.
we get done with this.
That would be good.
Finish your thought. I'm sorry.
I forgot. But I went on the tantrum, the side thing about
the decisiveness.
Oh yeah, like
Yes.
being able to practice and those strong things. But the chanting, it brought up a good point. You don't have to practice this hardcore, like tons of push-ups or whatever physical practice to get the same benefits. A regular chanting and meditation practice, that's where I was going on, that can provide the same benefits. It's in fact, my teacher actually talks about how over time and at different stages in your life, your practice will probably look less like the fiery physical practice and more like a meditative chanting practice. Because guess what? If you do some of those chants that I'm taught, like in the yoga, you build some lung capacity.
It's a workout, and it does work your heart.
Yeah.
And I think it's important when we're young and as we age to have a balance of the physical and the spirit, slower meditative things. And you're right, as we age, our practice may be more of a gentle flow, but it's still important that we move.
It's definitely, and that's a good thing to talk about. When you have a regular practice, you start to notice what it is that you need.
Right.
And so you can, and I've actually written a blog post about it, do too much. Like hot yoga, you can do too much hot yoga. You can do too much physical activity. And what does that do? Especially as a woman or like a postpartum woman, that taxes your system, like your adrenals
and it gets
get
your
depleted.
fire too. Your fire's too
hot. So what happens? You start to get burned. You start to get sunken in, agitated, like angry for no reason.
Angry, yes.
And then you get overly excited, so sleep starts to go away, which makes things look even more sallow. So there is a beauty in the self-knowledge that comes with a daily interaction. This may sound cheesy, with yourself, a daily practice, whether it is the meditation, the chanting, the physical practice. There's this beautiful balance that happens when it's like, I should probably pushing myself a little more, or you know what, it's okay, I'm going to go easy today, and being okay with whatever it is that happens.
Because intuition is another huge thing for the fire element. People whose element of fire is in balance are very intuitive, but they also have that water in balance too, so they have the wisdom to not make the fire burn too bright. They have the wisdom to not burn themselves out.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So that there's a balance with those things.
Which talks a little bit about how the elements all interact.
Yes.
So the fire, unkept, can do, like you said, make you agitated, make you not be able to sleep, make you angry. But when it's in balance, using the water, you've got this beautiful ability to just know.
Right.
Oh,
because water and fire can oppose.
Yeah.
But they can also work together in balance and harmony. And maybe at the end of these segments, we should do one with how all of these elements work together.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool.
Because when we get to ether, we'll be talking about consciousness and how to use our consciousness through yoga and meditation and Ayurveda and these practices that we use to keep ourselves whole. So maybe going into the new year, we can talk more about integrating and harmonizing.
Ooh, I like that idea.
Yeah.
That brings up a good point, though, like how all of the elements are kind of related and balanced and sort of created. So fire is kept, what was it, like ether and air. Fire needs air, and it's inside of space. Without air, there is no fire. So it's that whole interaction,
the whole
and how
journey
they balance.
of balancing those. Yes, we should definitely do that.
I like that. Good thoughts. Okay, so
we talked about foods, we talked about poses, we talked about the energetic components.
And we talked about how to build it up with that.
Build it up.
By streaky, we didn't call it by streaky,
breathing.
bellows breath, and using the foods, the hot warming foods to help warm you up, and how important it is that even though it isn't a fire season, here we are in the wintertime, it's still important to get out there and build your fire.
Build our fire through the vigorous yoga practices.
Correct. And that's how we're going to get super strong and super, prepped and ready for the summer.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then how a balanced fire equals balanced elimination.
Yes.
And balanced emotions and human interactivity, I would imagine.
The sweating in a healthy way from the fire versus too much fire and we're just sitting there sweating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very true. And I loved how you talked about how the water helps contain it. You know what I mean? Because it's like, what do firefighters out in the wildfires, if there's something on fire, if it's really big, they're not just going to go in and put water in the center of it necessarily. They're going to make a big path where the water can't jump over the path, or they can make, not the water, the fire. They make the fire paths, where it can't jump over 6-8 feet. And sometimes they cover it with water on the perimeter so it doesn't grow. I love how fire is checked by the water, and you need the water, like we talked about last week, like you said, to help get you into the knowing.
Right, and if I may chase a squirrel for a moment.
Go for it. I love squirrels.
It's interesting when you think of some of the things going on in the world and how out of balance we are as a society with our fire elements. When you think about the wildfires, when you think of some of the anger and agitation when it comes to political matters that's happening now, it may always be there, but it seems very prevalent right now.
It's true.
And I feel like that is connected to our fire element outside of us, what we see outside of us.
Very, very true. And that's kind of the glorified thing. Now we all brag about how busy we are.
Oh,
like
yes.
it's this badge of honor for moms to have their kids in 5,000 different activities and rode hard and put up wet, instead of it's not. There's a glorious peace that comes with giving yourself a break.
Yes.
And even if that break is just an hour a day, which is my goal, or if you're lucky, a full day a week, and I feel like, and this is a good rabbit trail, I need to do some more research, but I wonder if it is the same in the more laid back countries. Like in the U.S., we pride ourselves on never resting. But in European countries, they have, what is it, like a month, 6 weeks of vacation every single year. Do they have the same burnout that we have? I don't know.
Well, I know for the Eastern cultures, because I study the health and wellness in some of those cultures, that they don't have the stomach and the digestive issues that Americans have. And I believe that is because they are based on this energy system that keeps our chakras, meridians, and elements in alignment. And like I said, Western medicine is just now even allowing that to come in. Mm-hmm. And so we have more and more hospitals everywhere. Like they're tearing down cities and putting more hospitals, and we have more sick people than we've ever had.
Yeah.
And I believe that if we can bring all these elements back into medicine for ourselves, we will be much healthier, happier, more peaceful.
I agree. I totally, and that can go on so many deep, like other rabbit holes when you're talking about even something as easy or simple as the American diet and how it's changed in the last 50, 75 years. The things that my grandmother would never touch because you eat that, it's going to go straight to your hips. And now it's like we're told to eat, 6 to 12 things of bread or grains a day. Those are things my grandmother...
Who told us that?
That's the food pyramid. 6 to bread's on the bottom. And that's been the
I thought you meant loaves.
Oh yeah. No, that would be awesome. No. But like having that many servings, it's like basically the opposite of what my grandparents grew up eating, and it was just what they could get, not all this processed
yeah.
crap.
And my grandparents my family's Lebanese, and they stuck to that Mediterranean diet. My grandparents very closely. My father closer than I. I love Southern food. And so what I'm reflecting on is, why did I go away from that, my roots on that? Because that is, healthy olive oils and, the grains and the greens and the olives and all. The Mediterranean diet is one of the
healthiest ones, yep.
Yeah, the healthiest ones, and that's what I was raised on. So I've been thinking, how do I get back into that routine? Because it was easy for them, but for some reason, if I'm going to cook a Lebanese meal, it seems like this big ordeal I'm going to do.
And then she has to call me.
Only for the hummus.
For the hummus. But it is an interesting squirrel that you chase down, that the fire element does seem to be so out of balance, especially here and in different places in the world.
Well, in other areas, we have the water, the tsunamis.
Oh, yeah.
So if you think about as within, so without, as above, so below, then the more we can align to these things, the more that will ripple out. But again, we only can do ourselves.
Yeah, yeah. And the better we work on ourselves, it just will have this impact. It's just like a yoga practice. I mean, really and truly is. You go into a yoga studio for the first time, and something connects with you, whether it is the connection that you made with yourself, the practice, something connects, and then the next thing you know, your friends are not learning about the yoga practice, and your friends are going to start coming to yoga, and if they don't, then you start being better friends with the yoga people, and it kind of grows out, because there's something magical with the balance that comes with a good regular.
Well, and community and connecting with like-minded others. That's what I love about Thrive Yoga, is that we all learn and grow from one another.
And we're all very different. We're
all very different.
We're not the same politically. We're not the same diet. We have some keto people, some vegans. We have it all, but we're all coming together and balancing our fires with the practice.
And learning from each other.
Yeah. And that love and tolerance grows. Yeah, it is beautiful.
And we would love to have you there with us.
For sure. If you're in the Chattanooga area, definitely find us. We're located at 7633 East Brainerd Road. And we also have this fabulous YouTube channel. So make sure that you like and subscribe to this channel. There's a little button right down there. Go ahead and click subscribe here, where you will get to have access to these wonderful weekly conversations between Merritt, myself, and some other visitors as we bring them on. You'll have fire building practices. We'll have tutorials. We'll have some more gentle practices. And every now and then we'll do some reviews of some cool products. Actually, we'll be doing an Ayurvedic review. You remember the oils that Jennifer talked about last week?
Oh, did you get some?
I did. I got the morning and the evening. I've been using the morning one for a while. I got the evening one, and last night I put it on myself and my kids. It's awesome.
Do we have the Kanza ones at the studio?
We do, and I've been using my Kanza one. It feels so amazing.
I love using a Kanza one.
So maybe we'll talk about one of those on one of these days. So make sure you like and subscribe to this channel, and check us out at thriveyogaandwellness.com. And if you would like to practice with me personally, you can go to Thrive Online, part of Thrive Yoga and Wellness, thriveyogaandwellness.com/Thrive-online, and you can find lots and lots of practices, and you get to practice with me every single week. And Merritt also offers distance practices,
energy healing sessions, and my website is hard to say because the energy center is spelled CNTR, so I'll paste a link down to the bottom so you can check out our website. We would love to have you practice with us at both places.
Yes, thank you so much for tuning in. We can't wait to see you till next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Namaste.
That was good.
I thought it was pretty good.
I enjoyed that talk. Oh, and it was good about